Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Got a couple of 9mm on the table. I've got a Taurus G3C and I've got the Ruger Max9. Please don't forget to check out our website. Go to our affiliates page. You'll find discount codes for things like Mantis Axe and Core belts. Link to that cool little bore light that we use for lighting up the barrels. Use those links. It will often save you money, never will cost you any additional money, and helps the channel. And please consider supporting the channel on Player, formerly Utreon, where we can do some types of videos that are no longer allowed on YouTube. The Taurus is kind of a classic double stack, so Glock 26 style thing, subcompact, and it gives you a full 3-finger grip with the pinky extender mag that comes with it. It only comes in one capacity, 12 rounds, so you get a decent amount of capacity, and actually a couple more rounds than you would on your typical subcompact like a Glock 26. It is optics ready if you get the Toro version, T.O.R.O. It's an acronym. And they also have a non-optics ready version of this. MSRP makes a little difference. So the base one without the optics ready, the MSRP is $350. The Toro version, the MSRP is $408. So it's a little bit of difference if you're not going to put an optic on it, period, and you just want it to be smooth top. You can save a little bit of money by buying the less expensive version of it. If you do buy the optics ready version, it does come with plates to fit the most more popular optics. So you bring it home, you have an optic that'll fit it, you've got the plate to do it, so you're ready to go from the beginning. It does have a inertial toggle on the trigger, internal drop safety piston, and a thumb safety that's relatively easy to use. And this gun has actually worked well. The sight on it is a white dot up front and a blackout rear. Not optimal sights in my mind, but they do work. And you've moved up into a size category here where I expect good sights. In the super tiny little ones that fit on the palm of your hand, you may take some compromises on sights for size. But once you're into this size category, it really should have good sights. Now, the fact that this one is optics ready and I can put an optic on it kind of mitigates that. But if I don't have an optic, like you see it here, then I would want sights that actually are usable. It's about the only thing I would complain about on this. It worked well, it was reliable, did the job, and is quite functional, but sights are suboptimal. Now we'll move over here to the Ruger. This comes in a 10-round version, which is the mag that they tend to ship with, which is you're going to give you a 2-finger grip, and an optional mag of 12 rounds. And that is an extension over the original LCP, LC series, this type of gun. The LCP is the 380. They tended to be single stacks and hold 6-7 rounds. So now you're getting the 10 and 12 rounds. This one, in my mind, is on the edge of that micro-compact territory. It's just kind of getting a little bit big for that, but it still fits into it, especially with the flush 10-round magazine. Sights on this are a little bit better and not better at the same time. It has a TFO front sight, tritium fiber optic front sight, so it's a really awesome front sight, and blackout rear. It does have a groove cut in it. You could paint that white and actually get a functional rear sight. In this case, you see I've got an optic on it. This is a Siley Cat X Pro, and they're a direct mount. So on the Ruger, it doesn't use plates because anything that's a J-point or a shield format will just direct mount to it. So there's no need for plates. A little bit of an advantage, it sets it a little bit lower. And you can see I've actually kind of got co-witness going on. So if the optic were to fail, I can still use the sights. That's a bit of an advantage over designs that use the plates, because generally by the time you put a plate on it, put an optic on top of it, your rear sight's totally blocked and unusable. The trigger on this, and we get rid of the magazine, is got an inertial toggle. It's kind of a longish, a little bit heavyish wall. It's a decent trigger, but I wouldn't call it a spectacular trigger. Reset is basically all the way out. You're right on the wall, and then again that longish, kind of stiff wall to get back through it again. The trigger is good, but there's other guns that have better triggers in this size category. One thing I'll note before I go to the G3C and the trigger, this does not have a magazine disconnect, does not have a thumb safety, because this is the Pro version. There is a version with the thumb safety available, So it doesn't have the annoying magazine disconnect that Ruger kind of tended to favor for a long time on their guns. The trigger on the Taurus, it's got a longer take up, but a really short light wall and a really short reset. So the Taurus definitely wins the trigger competition. Which one has a nicer trigger is the Taurus. Taurus also has restrike capability, which is not common in striker guns, but though it does tend to be common in Tauruses. They tend to design guns with that. And you're effectively in like a double action at this point, and it's still actually reasonably light and reasonable travel. The Ruger behaves more like your standard striker gun. Once you pull the trigger is not usable until it cycles. So they operate similarly, but the Taurus actually does have a better overall trigger, both from a feel as well as functionality. From a size perspective, let me put the flush mags in. Now the Taurus doesn't have, oops, it would work much better if I actually put the correct mag in the Taurus. That's as flush as the mag on the Taurus gets. So, but it would kind of be comparing the Taurus to the 12-round magazine on this. But when you're buying a gun, I want to compare them with the smallest you can get them. And in the smallest you can make them. Okay, I got to get a box to put this on because the optic is making the Taurus or the Ruger look huge, and it really isn't. You can see from here, once I put it up on something that kind of takes the optic out of the play of it, you can see the Ruger is shorter in every dimension. Now if I put the extended mag in the Ruger, just to kind of give you that apples to apples, then you end up getting the grip heights closer, but the Taurus is still a hair taller. So in the 12-round configuration, apples to apples, the Ruger's just a hair shorter, but it has the option of making it much shorter to carry by starting with the 10-round mag. The length of them is what it is, and again, the Ruger's a little bit shorter, and the Ruger is lighter, 18.4 ounces versus 22 ounces. So from a size perspective, in every option and dimension, the Ruger wins, even thickness. The Ruger's 0.95 and the Taurus is 1.2. So if you're looking for the smallest you can get, it's definitely going to be the Ruger. Other than that, both of these guns have been reliable from the beginning. They are similarly priced. So the Ruger, if you get the base version of it, has an MSRP of $440. The optic, you can get it with an optic that has already installed at MSRP of $490. And the Taurus, the base, is an MSRP of $350. And the Toro, like you see here, is a MSRP of $408. So the Ruger is a little bit more expensive, but not significantly. So it would come down to which one would I choose. In this case, I would actually choose the Ruger. I like the overall form factor of it. I like it being a little bit smaller. I like the fact that the optic is direct mount. And I kind of just, the Ruger just seems to feel a little bit better. It's a little bit lighter, and for this type of gun where I'm looking for small, it kind of fits that right. However, I would say if you chose the Taurus, you would not be choosing poorly. It's proven to be a reliable gun. It does actually have the nicer trigger, so it would not be a bad choice. But when I'm sitting here, I got them in my hand, the Taurus just feels heavier. And it really is. It's over 3.5 ounces heavier, which in a small concealed carry gun, that can make a difference. And it probably feels more heavy than the difference actually is, but you can feel it just moving it around. And I do like the tritium fiber optic sight on the Ruger, and the fact that I could fairly easily paint that U if I wanted to, or it'd be a little more difficult to do with the Taurus. So personally me, I would tilt towards the Ruger Max9, but you can't go wrong with either one of these. And at this price point, you're actually getting a good quality on either one of these, a good quality firearm at a reasonable MSRP. By the way, the Taurus does have one advantage I almost overlooked. It has a single slot Picatinny rail. The Ruger does not. So if you're wanting to add lights and lasers, you're going to have an easier time doing it with the Taurus than you are with the Ruger. Typically though, if you're going red dot, you wouldn't bother with a laser, but you may want a light. Beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, click that bell up there to be notified if you do. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Player, Rumble. We're pretty much everywhere. And thank you.